Have you ever stopped and asked yourself why the men who seem to care the least about female attention receive the most of it? Why the man who texts back immediately stays single, while the man who disappears for days has women orbiting him like planets around the sun? Machiavelli once wrote that fortune is a woman, and if you wish to keep her under, you must beat her and strike her down. Now, before you misunderstand, he wasn't advocating violence. He was describing a brutal psychological truth about power dynamics. Fortune, like feminine energy, only yields to those who approach it with boldness, scarcity, and refusal to submit. Most modern men have inverted this completely. They chase, they beg, they make themselves abundant and available, and then they wonder why women treat them like furniture, present, useful, but utterly unsexy. I know this because I once was that man. I remember texting a woman I was interested in, waiting by my phone like a prisoner waiting for parole. I'd see her post on social media and my chest would tighten. I'd craft the perfect response, delete it, rewrite it, trying to sound casual while my heart hammered with desperation. She could feel it. Women always can. And the moment she sensed my need, my value collapsed. But here's what changed everything for me. There are 7 Machiavellian laws that govern attraction, and they have nothing to do with looks, money, or luck. These are principles, ancient, tested, and as reliable as gravity. If you apply them, women will pursue you. If you ignore them, you'll spend your life confused and frustrated. And by the end of this, I'm going to reveal the one law that ties all 7 together, the master key that Machiavelli himself used to understand power. So grab something to write with, because these aren't suggestions. These are commands from men who understood power centuries before dating apps existed. This isn't for everyone. If you're comfortable staying where you are, close this video now. But if you're ready to stop being the option and start being the prize, pay attention. That brings us to Law 1. Law 1, scarcity creates value, abundance destroys it. The first Machiavellian law that most men violate immediately is this: scarcity creates value, abundance destroys it. Machiavelli observed that men despise those who make themselves too familiar, and they desire what they cannot easily possess. A woman posts a photo, and within seconds, 40 men flood her comments with compliments. What is her logical conclusion? That male attention is worthless. It's everywhere. It costs her nothing to acquire. Now imagine a different man. He sees the same photo. He doesn't comment. He doesn't like it. When they interact, his attention is measured, deliberate, and conditional. He's pleasant but not pursuing. This man has just created a void. And nature, as Machiavelli knew, abhors a vacuum. The woman who ignored the 40 will think about the one who ignored her. This is not a trick. This is market economics applied to human desire. If you make yourself rare, you become valuable. If you make yourself abundant, you become replaceable. The Machiavellian strategist understands that his attention is a finite resource, and he does not distribute it to those who have not earned it. Think about the men who have options with women. They are not commenting on every post. They are not initiating every conversation. They are being chased, and the reason is simple. They have weaponized their absence. Here's the brutal truth. Your availability communicates worthlessness. When a woman texts you and you respond within 30 seconds, you have told her that you were doing nothing important. You were waiting. You were available. The Machiavellian man does not wait by the phone. He has missions. He has purpose. And when he finally does respond, his delay is not a game. It's a reflection of reality. He was genuinely occupied with something more important. But let me be clear, this doesn't mean you ignore women to be petty. It means you build a life so compelling that your attention becomes genuinely scarce. Women can sense the difference between a man pretending to be unavailable and a man who genuinely has better things to do. So the first step is not to play hard to get, it's to become hard to get. That transition happens internally before it ever shows externally. Law 2. Outcome independence is your armor. The second Machiavellian law is even more uncomfortable. You must become emotionally indifferent to whether she stays or leaves. Machiavelli taught that a prince must learn not to be good, meaning a ruler cannot afford to need the approval of his subjects. The moment you need her, you lose her. This is the paradox that destroys most relationships before they begin. Men enter interactions from a position of scarcity. They think, I need this to work. I need her to like me. That need radiates from them like desperation cologne, and it repels women at a biological level. The Machiavellian understands that outcome independence is not indifference to women. It's indifference to any single woman. The weak man puts one woman on a pedestal and convinces himself she is irreplaceable. He hasn't even learned her middle name yet, but in his mind, she's already the mother of his children. This emotional surrender gives her total power over him. The powerful man operates differently. He finds her interesting, attractive even, but irreplaceable, never. He knows that if she leaves, another will come. Not because he's arrogant, but because he has built himself into a man worth pursuing. This is not a belief he forces, it's a reality he inhabits. And women feel this. They sense when a man is evaluating them rather than auditioning for them. Here's how this shows up in practice. When a woman tests you, and she will, your response must come from abundance, not fear. She cancels plans last minute. The needy man panics, asks what's wrong, tries to reschedule immediately. The Machiavellian man says, no problem, and makes other plans. He doesn't punish her, he doesn't sulk. He simply moves on because his life does not revolve around her availability. And that response, calm, unbothered, sovereign, creates more attraction than 1,000 desperate texts ever could. Most men fear this approach because they think it will push women away. And you're right, it will push away the wrong women. The women who want a servant, an emotional support animal. But the women worth having, they will lean in, because finally they've encountered a man who doesn't need them, and that is the rarest thing in the modern world. Law 3. Strategic withdrawal is your weapon. Now we arrive at the law that most men discover too late, the power of walking away. Machiavelli wrote that wise men know when to retreat, for sometimes the greatest victory is the battle you refuse to fight. In the context of women, this means having the discipline to withdraw your presence when disrespect, low effort, or manipulation appear. Most men tolerate anything to keep a woman around. She disrespects him in public, he laughs it off. She cancels repeatedly, he keeps asking. This is not patience. This is cowardice dressed as kindness. The Machiavellian strategist understands that withdrawal is the most powerful tool in his arsenal, not threats, not arguments, simply removing himself from situations where his value is not recognized. When a woman misbehaves and the man stays, she learns that boundaries are negotiable. But when a man withdraws, calmly, completely, without explanation, she is forced to confront the possibility that she miscalculated, that he might not come back, that she might have actually lost something valuable. Here's the key. Strategic withdrawal only works if you mean it. If you pull away to manipulate her into chasing you, she will sense the game and despise you for it. But if you withdraw because your self-respect demands it, because you genuinely will not tolerate certain behavior, then your absence becomes a consequence, not a tactic. And consequences teach faster than words ever will. I learned this the hard way. There was a woman I was seeing who would routinely cancel plans, show up late, and treat my time as negotiable. I tolerated it because I thought patience was virtue. One day, after another last-minute cancellation, I simply stopped reaching out. No anger, no explanation, just silence. 2 weeks later, she texted asking if I was upset. I wasn't. I had moved on. And that's when everything shifted. She began pursuing, apologizing, offering to make it up to me. Why? Because my withdrawal was real. Strategic withdrawal works because it reframes the dynamic. She is no longer the prize you're chasing. You are the opportunity she's losing. But here's what most men miss. You can only withdraw effectively if you have somewhere to go. If your entire life is built around one woman, withdrawal is just pouting. But if you have purpose, mission, goals, and other options, withdrawal is simply you redirecting your energy toward better investments. Law 4. Unpredictability creates obsession. The fourth Machiavellian law separates the forgettable from the unforgettable. You must remain psychologically unpredictable. Machiavelli observed that men grow comfortable with patterns, and comfort breeds contempt. The moment a woman can predict your behavior, she stops thinking about you. You become routine, safe, boring, and boredom is the silent killer of attraction. Think about the men who obsess women. They are never the predictable ones. They are the men who disappear for days, then resurface with intensity. The men who are warm one moment, distant the next. Not because they're playing games, but because they are genuinely occupied with things that matter more than constant communication. The Machiavellian strategist cultivates mystery not through deception, but through variance. He does not text at the same time every day. He does not always say yes. He does not follow a script. This creates tension. Tension creates curiosity, and curiosity creates obsession. Women are biologically wired to solve puzzles. If you present yourself as an open book, there is nothing to solve. You are read, categorized, and forgotten. But if you remain variable, unpredictable in your availability, your mood, your priorities, you become a puzzle she cannot put down. Machiavelli warned that he who is always seen is never respected. If you are always available, always responsive, always predictable, you train her to take you for granted. Here's how this plays out practically. Let's say you've been texting consistently for a week. Then, without explanation, you go quiet for 2 days. Not because you're mad, not because you're playing games, but because you genuinely got busy with work, friends, or your own goals. When you resurface, you don't apologize or explain. You just continue as if nothing happened. What does this do? It breaks the predictable pattern. It reminds her that you are not a guaranteed resource. Now, here's the warning. Unpredictability without substance is just chaos. If you're unpredictable because you're unreliable or lazy, that's not attractive. That's dysfunction. The Machiavellian mind creates unpredictability through competence, not incompetence. You are unpredictable because you have a rich, full life that sometimes takes priority over her. Women can sense the difference. One makes you intriguing, the other makes you exhausting. Law 5. Mirror her energy, never exceed it. The fifth Machiavellian law is one most men never learn. Reflect her energy, never exceed it. Machiavelli taught that a wise prince mirrors the behavior of those around him. For he who gives more than he receives becomes a servant. In attraction, this means you match her investment level, but you never outpace it. If she sends one text, you send one text. If she initiates twice a week, you initiate twice a week. If she's excited, you're excited. But if she's lukewarm, distant, or low effort, you mirror that exact temperature back without bitterness. This is one of the hardest laws for men to follow because ego gets involved. Men think, if I just show her how much I care, she'll come around. No, she won't. The moment you invest more than she does, you create an imbalance, and imbalance kills attraction. You become the giver. She becomes the taker. And takers do not respect givers. They exploit them. The Machiavellian strategist never offers more than is offered to him, not because he's cold, but because he values reciprocity. Here's what this looks like in practice. She texts you twice a day. You text her twice a day. She starts texting once every 3 days. You match that pace. She cancels plans. You stop making them and wait for her to initiate. This is not revenge. This is equilibrium. You are teaching her through your behavior that the energy she puts in is the energy she gets back. And most women will notice this immediately. They will either step up their effort to match yours, or they will fade away. And if they fade away, good. You've just saved yourself months of chasing someone who was never serious. The weak man panics when a woman pulls back. He doubles his effort, thinking he can win her over through persistence. The Machiavellian man stays calm. He mirrors her withdrawal with his own, and he watches what happens. If she's interested, she'll come back. If she's not, she won't. Either way, you haven't debased yourself by begging. Machiavelli wrote that men should never reduce themselves to the level of those they wish to rule. In modern terms, never chase someone who's walking away. Law 6. Self-mastery is the foundation. The 6th Machiavellian law is the foundation beneath all the others. You must master yourself before you can master attraction. Machiavelli wrote that he who cannot command himself will always be a slave. If you cannot control your emotions, your urges, your need for validation, then no strategy will save you. A woman can smell emotional desperation from miles away. It shows in how quickly you text back, how eagerly you agree to her terms, how you rearrange your life to accommodate her whims. The Machiavellian man is emotionally sovereign. He does not need her validation to feel complete. He does not check his phone every 5 minutes hoping she's responded. He does not spiral into anxiety when she's distant. Why? Because his emotional state is not dependent on her behavior. He has built a fortress around his inner peace, and no woman, no matter how beautiful, has the keys to breach it. This is not coldness, this is strength. And strength is the only thing that reliably generates long-term attraction. Self-mastery shows up in small ways that women notice. How you respond to her tests, how you handle rejection, how you carry yourself when she's upset or distant. The weak man crumbles, he pleads. He tries to fix her emotions because he cannot tolerate the discomfort. The strong man remains calm. He gives her space. He does not absorb her chaos because he is rooted in his own center. And every time you hold that ground without flinching, her respect for you deepens. Here's the truth most men avoid. You cannot attract a high-value woman if you are not a high-value man. And high value is not about money or looks. It's about self-control, purpose, and emotional discipline. It's about being the kind of man who can walk away from a beautiful woman if she disrespects him, who can sit in silence without filling it with nervous chatter, who can go days without contact and not feel anxious. That level of self-mastery is rare, and rarity is what creates desire. Law 7. Frame control determines everything. The 7th and final Machiavellian law governs every interaction. Whoever controls the frame controls the relationship. Machiavelli understood that power is not about force, it's about perception. If she believes she is the prize, she will treat you like a contestant. But if you believe you are the prize, and you hold that frame unshakably, she will eventually adopt it. Frame is not what you say. It's the unspoken reality you project about who has value and who is being evaluated. Most men enter interactions from a weak frame. They think, I hope she likes me. I hope I'm good enough. That hope is a confession of powerlessness, and women feel it instantly. The Machiavellian man enters from a different frame. I'm curious if she's worth my time. Let's see if she can keep my interest. This is not arrogance. This is the natural frame of a man who has options and knows his worth. And that frame, when held consistently, flips the entire dynamic. Here's how frame battles play out. She suggests you meet at a time inconvenient for you. The weak man agrees immediately. The strong man counters, "That doesn't work for me. Let's do this instead." If she agrees, you've held frame. If she pushes back, you hold firm. You're not being difficult. You're establishing that your time and preferences matter. Most men are so desperate to please that they sacrifice their own needs constantly. And every time you do that, you surrender frame. Machiavellian frame control extends beyond logistics. It's about who sets the emotional tone. If she's upset and tries to pull you into her drama, the weak man gets upset too. The strong man stays calm and says, "Let me know when you're ready to talk calmly." You've just refused to enter her frame of chaos. You've held your frame of calm control. And every time you do this, you train her to respect your boundaries. Frame is everything. Lose it and you lose her. Hold it and she will orbit you. The master key: control yourself, not her. So here's what all 7 laws build toward. The master key Machiavelli understood about fortune, power, and women. You cannot control her, but you can control yourself. And when you master yourself, you become the kind of man she cannot help but pursue. You are scarce but not absent, unpredictable but not chaotic, outcome independent but not cold. You mirror her energy. You withdraw when disrespected. You hold your frame. And you remain sovereign in your own emotions. This is not a game. This is the reclamation of your masculine sovereignty in a world that has convinced you to surrender it. The modern man has been taught that devotion means servitude, that love means sacrifice, that commitment means tolerating disrespect. Machiavelli would call this the philosophy of slaves. The powerful man knows that respect precedes love, that boundaries create attraction, that a woman will never value what she does not fear losing. If you've made it this far, you are not like most men. Most will watch this, nod along, and change nothing. They will return to their phones, their desperation, their patterns. But you're different. You're one of the few willing to do the uncomfortable work of building yourself into a man worth chasing. So here's what I want you to do. Choose one law from this video and apply it immediately. Not tomorrow, today. Watch how she responds. Watch how the dynamic shifts. This channel exists for one reason: to give you the brutal, unfiltered Machiavellian truths about power, women, and life that no one else will. Subscribe if you're serious about mastery, not motivation. And remember, fortune favors the bold, but she only stays with the patient. I'll see you in the shadows.